You're listening to The Parallel Paths, a podcast designed to elevate your mind, body, and spirit so that you can get everything you want out of life. The only question is, are you ready?
What's up, Parallel Path fam? Do you have a business or looking to start one? One thing that has made it easier to bring my business to life has been utilizing Bluehost for my website hosting. Bluehost makes it quick and easy to get your website up and going with its fast loading speeds and variety of features. Powering over 2 million websites, they offer a full range of hosting services, SEO, and much more, all at budget-friendly prices. Sign up today for web hosting as low as $3.95 per month. Click our link in the show notes for instant access to this incredible deal.
Welcome back to the Parallel Paths podcast. I'm your co-host, Makita Moore.
I'm your other co-host, Blair McClendon.
And we are back for season 3 already. It's been a little under a year since we first started this podcast. And we've done this our 3rd season. So I'm feeling real excited about that.
For sure. Welcome back, guys. Got a lot more planned this season. And as you can tell, we have a guest with us today. So we'll be kicking off season 3, kind of taking a dive into some different people's lives and businesses, and hopefully to pass along some inspiration and knowledge that me and Makita may not be able to share with you. But again, collectively building together and always with one chief aim of getting better each and every day.
Exactly. Because we definitely want to let you all hear from other voices, and because, Blair and I might not speak to you, but somebody else might speak to you. As well as we also want to highlight, different leaders within the community, people who are really living their authentic best lives. And Mr. Markiece over here is our very first guest of season 3. Markiece, you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people. Tell them what you do.
Absolutely, of course. So for those who know or don't know, my name is Markiece Eze. I am a calisthenics and holistic coach here in Los Angeles, California. So I do everything from meditation to practicing yoga, teaching yoga. I'm also a fitness instructor. Also, I do dietary plans. And I also basically just make sure that I show the importance of holistic medicine as we're trying to, change the culture a little bit as far as how we deal with our health.
Awesome. And I will say I've trained with Markiece and you really bring a nice level of a really good energy to your training. Cause like I know how to work out. I know my way around a gym. But it's nice to have someone who you realize when they're training you, they're training the whole body, the mind, and the spirit through the types of exercises you have me do, the number of reps you have me do, and even just like the friendly feedback, but still maintaining that role as the authority in that setting. I think you do an amazing job. So if anybody's in the LA or Long Beach area, definitely check him out on Instagram at Markiece, MARKIECE _EZE. I spelled that right?
Hey, you spelled it right.
Okay, awesome. So this season, we're just going to be interviewing awesome people like Markiece. And to kick us off, Markiece, you are new, or have you always been an entrepreneur? I know entrepreneurship is something you've had some new opportunities come up recently.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us
Absolutely.
a little bit about your journey.
So for me, as far as entrepreneurship, I didn't necessarily dive into it until after I got out of the service. I served in the Air Force for about 6 years, and I just wanted to really figure out who I am, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, things of that nature, what I kind of gravitate towards. I always kind of had a quote unquote old head mentality. So a lot of my friends were, 5+ years older, things of that nature. So I was also always gaining wisdom from other people. And a lot of people were implementing things as far as ownership, as far as how to bypass the educational system that they have, where it's, in a sense, it kind of all feels like remedial learning in a sense, because a lot of the education that you get from the school system, you can't necessarily apply it to the real world. So now we kind of are not financially literate the way that we need to be. So a lot of the people that I surrounded myself with after the service were hustlers, were people who wanted to push, the culture forward. They wanted to find ways where they can have multiple streams of income, and that was something that would just fascinated me because I always felt like I needed to make sure I had that progression mindset.
That's dope. That's super dope. We're gonna have to connect offline. Got a lot in common.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I guess for me, one question that kind of comes to mind is, has health always been a priority for you? Because I noticed you mentioned a lot of different healing modalities and a lot of things that I've actually covered on the podcast as well.
Right. As soon as I was conscious of health, I mean, when I was growing up, well, as most Black families, unfortunately, health was not necessarily in the forefront when it came to what we needed to eat because, in a sense, we didn't think of food as far as what our body needs. We thought of food as survival. Like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat whatever I can find in the cabinet I can find, and if I only got $1, I'm going to McDonald's, like whatever it is. So, but as soon as I was conscious with how I was eating, how it was affecting my body, that again, that was probably after the service when I really started feeling that shift in everything from my mood, from how my body was reacting to certain things. And I guess just curiosity took the best of me and just tried to kind of really educate myself on overall wellness, not just on eating right.
Got you. What was that age? And then was it one specific event or something, I guess, traumatic that happened that caused you to kind of look deeper?
Yeah. So, man, I feel so old. But I think that I was somewhere in my early 20s, say I'm somewhere in my early 20s, so around like maybe 21, 22,
Right.
somewhere of that time frame. And really, it was just life. I mean, my story is not that much more different than most Black men in America. So, all of the different nuances that we go through and things of that unsettledies and things of that sort. Like um, I didn't feel like there was like one particular event, but I just knew that ultimately over time I saw that there was a decline not only within what was going on in the world but within my spirit.
Mm.
And as soon as I acknowledged that decline, um, I had a breaking point in a sense. I kind of had like my point where I said, okay, this is it. I'm not going to go any further lower than this point. I'm going to now unlearn everything that I thought was going to get me to what I perceived as success, and I'm going to make sure that I implement self-love, self-education, things of that sort. And within that time frame, that's when I got into eating right and nutrition. So I definitely say somewhere around that time frame.
And Markiece, you talked about basically being a Black man, and just from like things I've like since I've moved out here to LA, I've grown more accustomed to like hearing Black men talk about how difficult it is. Like, just in general, but also being in LA where there's so much going on. There's, gang violence, there's the police brutality, there's so many things going on at any given time that they're constantly on alert, constantly looking over their shoulders. And that's just the culture living here. So what effect do you feel like that could have on your, your physical health, just from living in an environment like a lot of Black men in LA or any other neighborhoods that are similar?
I mean, well, for those who are basically here in LA, who were born and raised here in LA, they kind of know the dynamics of the redlining that they've done here, not only just in LA, but in our country, where they made sure that they had like some type of funneling system where they just gravitated all minority groups and just kind of implemented them in the lower communes of the city or the region, things of that nature. So a lot of the resources that we needed, as far as Whole Foods or like grocery stores that we knew had just fresh, natural product, the best educational systems or school programs, things of that sort. That wasn't coming into more of like my zip code or like in my region. So in a sense, it felt like that everyone that kind of looked like me was pushed to the opposite end, where you had maybe four or five liquor stores before you saw one grocery store, and things of that nature. So even me going to the school that I went to, I had to use somebody else's zip code and address just to be accepted to that one school. So just trying to figure out a way to break out of the system that was already set in place for you, just far as a geographical segregation or a geographical racism that goes on in LA. So not only do you have that, but with everyone who has that poverty mindset, because they feel like they have been poverty stricken, and obviously they can't necessarily depend on a certain politician or anything like that to kind of give them their reparations, things of that. You have to kind of make your way by any means. Sometimes that means, using the drugs that they've already implanted into our city, or maybe it's something where, don't want to have a life of crime, but if you have kids, you have to do whatever you can to provide for your family. So a lot of that is just not only mental strain, but also obviously it takes toll on your body, your cardiovascular system. You have heavy and deeper breaths. Sometimes it feels like you kind of have um, not necessarily, you don't have a grasp on anything, like nothing feels tangible to you. So we grew up basically in an environment where you're just very, very low barred on everything that you do. Um, on top of trying to make sure that you eventually become a strong figure in someone's life, so that way you can start building your own foundations. So yeah, but yeah, LA is just one of those places. But it's always all around the world. I'm pretty sure Atlanta is like that, Florida's like that. You know.
Yeah, you're gonna find it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Just hearing your story and, like you said, just putting it in perspective. Atlanta's my second home too, so seeing the struggle of my friends there, seeing my homies here, and just the different struggles we all go through. And like you said, it's systematic. So
Right.
it's stuff. It's not by coincidence. It's been put in place for a reason. But I guess the dopest part of it is how we continue to find our way out. And
Exactly.
it's a race of people that's creative, and that are fighters. So being able to overcome some of these challenges, it's almost miraculous in a sense, but like that's how you know it's a higher power working too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure, for sure. So Markiece, you talked about being a trainer. What's your modality for training? Just to flip it back on health and how we can move from, considering that, we as a people, we are so oppressed, and that has negative physical, mental, and spiritual effects on us. And you choose to approach the healing of that through fitness. So what is your modality and why?
So at one time, I was actually studying to be Buddhist. I grew up Christian, and I wanted to find something that identified with more of my mindset or my beliefs, or just trying to educate myself on something more than what was kind of just fed to me, spoon fed to me in a sense. So I was fascinated with how like Shaolin monks, they had so much control over their body, so much control over their mind, so much control over just basically, in a sense, they were and they were so disciplined on being detached from what was the common sequence of things or the common practice to enhance your body. Because for them, obviously, bench pressing 215 is not like in their resume, but just the way that they're able to master their body. And I said, I want to be able to be a master of myself, a master of my temple, a master of my spirit, a master of my mind. I want to be able to not have any chains in any of those diasporas. So for me to do that, I basically tried to throw away everything I thought I knew about fitness. And then really just listen to self, listen to my spirit. What am I able to do to go over this? Like, okay, so you can lift this much, but at the end of the day, are you able to understand why your muscles move like this? Are you is there a way that you can even activate certain muscles on the fly? So that's when I started really getting into muscle and mind connection and studying that, which is also something that I'm teaching my clients as far as mind muscle connection. And so, in a sense, as far as what kind of inspired me was more of um, the Shaolin aspect of it, or more so of being able to take your time to really understand how your body functions. So I do a lot of vinyasa yoga. I do a lot of power yoga, calisthenics, um, teaching people how to be patient with the process, because these aren't, active dynamic movements where, you're just trying to win the race. This is all about developing and mastering the trinity within your body.
That's super dope. I've actually been doing vinyasa flows, and I was actually inspired by the Shaolin Temple and Bruce Lee and Ip Man and all this stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talked about mastering the body, that's one thing that I had always talked about, like with my friends. I used to always say, I'm trying to become a Super Saiyan. And,
Right.
people just kind of laugh at it, but it's like, nah, really mastering myself from a mental,
Absolutely.
physical, and spiritual perspective. So
Absolutely.
I definitely take my hat off to you. And like I said, we got to connect offline.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
And I was going to say, one question I actually had that I kind of want you to touch a little bit deeper on that you just mentioned was the mind body connection. Well, in your words, the muscle and mind connection.
Right.
Can you touch on that a little bit more and kind of expound on the benefits of tapping into the physical and how it can help you from a mental perspective?
Absolutely. So I feel like our brain is the best computer that we can ever imagine, the best computer in the universe, in a sense. So there's so many different levels of our brain that I feel like it's able to give us the opportunity to experience either superhuman physical abilities, or even just supernatural experiences. Um, but the thing is, are we going to be diligent enough in the practices in order to open that portal up? So for me, I'm a big anime fan, so it could be that aspect of it where I'm feeling like, how do people tap into the certain consciousness that kind of unlocks this dormant energy in you, this dormant kingdom, this dormant whatever you want to call it. And so I, read books. I went on a complete spiritual journey, trying to figure out where I wanted to study and things of that nature. I still have on my bucket list to study in Tibet. So it's like there's a lot of just different um, things that I saw where, like, the common denominator for everything was how your mind activates certain things within your body. So whether it's like, how do people um, stay submerged in water for 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like only 90 seconds and it's a wrap. So it's like, for me, I had to understand that this is something that you train. We don't understand that we have the ability to do the majority of things that we do see. It's just that we have to be diligent enough within that practice so that way our body can evolve to it. And so when I understood that and I started to see these practices, like for instance, I used to be, I thought of myself fit, pretty fit. I used to get into like powerlifting and bodybuilding back in my earlier days. Um, but then when I started um, training with someone who was more into calisthenics and he was more into gymnastics as well, I was working out with him, and I couldn't do the simplest things that just basically required a certain mobility in your body to do it. So, and I was thinking, like, I felt so powerless at that moment. So I had to really just kind of understand that there's more to than what I thought. My perception of what I thought I was in peak form, but it kind of like rose this sense of awareness. Like, okay, so we definitely have a higher threshold than we believe. So I just kind of make sure within my clients they understand that whatever you speak to yourself, whatever you say to yourself, whether you feel it or not, that's replenishing the energy that you're giving throughout not only your practices and your exercises, but on basically your sense of self.
So I know that you just released an ebook on discipline, or it's titled Discipline. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And maybe like the role, the necessity of discipline and,
Mm-hmm.
living that lifestyle where we are in touch, we are able to really maximize on our brain, our body power. Where does discipline?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like actually everyone is disciplined. Um, Everyone has the disciplinary actions. Everyone is able to do something consistently. We just don't really necessarily choose the right things to be disciplined on. There's some people who are disciplined to consistently being on their phone, checking their phones, or consistently going to Starbucks instead of just making your own tea at your own home, things of that nature. So we do have these practices. We just choose to tell ourselves that we don't in order to kind of subconsciously make us feel better, as in like we have a lack of accountability. So for me, I'm basically just trying to reprogram the way that we think about discipline. Sometimes I feel like that there has like a negative connotation to discipline in this form of you have to commit to something, which should be another topic for another time. But as far as commitment, but for some people are just afraid of commitment or afraid to commit. So when you coincide those two words together, it's like I don't know if I necessarily want to touch that because that's going to cause me to not only be vulnerable but exude certain energy that I'm not able to. I need this energy for myself. So what I did in the book is try to break it down into factors. So obviously, since I'm working the fitness and wellness realm, it's derived from that. But so from discipline, I go into the mind and muscle connection. I go into how you need to affirm the things that you want, not only for your body, but in order to experience joy, you need to be the embodiment of joy. Think of the things, visualize the things that gives you that, and then go ahead and try to perform with that energy, you know? And not only that, I go into nutrition a little bit. There is truth to you are what you eat. But since we all are just universal awareness, um, I just want people to know that when you do eat something, just think of what it actually does to your body. Listen to your body. If you feel bloated, maybe that's not the thing for you. You know what I mean? Like it's just things of that nature. So I just try to break it down in short stories as far as going into mind muscle connection, because I believe that that's the greatest foundation for anything. Your affirmations is everything. It's the engine. It's your accelerator. And then I go into nutrition. I go into the best practices to get your body acclimated to fitness or to a new endeavor. I feel like this will also be a great book for entrepreneurs, for people who are just trying to find that push and that motivation to get into a new business venture. Right now, this is the year of entrepreneurs. And I feel like our generation, is the pioneers on pushing this entrepreneurship forward. Um, I just want to make sure that we are well equipped. I wanted to make a tool for us that we can use that'll be able for us to develop businesses around the world.
Yeah. And I think one thing that again I can commend you for is your level of self-awareness, which I know took some time to develop, just even based on my own journey. And I know one thing that you touched on as far as like the mind muscle connection, doing these different yoga flows and tapping into a different side that you wouldn't necessarily normally explore definitely unlocks your mind and self-awareness to levels I can't even explain to you unless you've actually experienced that. And I know I've alluded to it in other episodes and stuff like that, and it is hard to explain, but I'm
Mhm.
glad I'm having another voice kind of echo a little bit of what I've been saying too.
Mhm.
And like you said, think of yourself as really a vehicle. So the fuel that you're putting in it, you need to make sure that you're putting in the premium nutrients in your body. Treat your body as if you would it's a Ferrari. So like you're only going to put
Exactly.
the best in it. You're only going to do the things
Exactly.
you know are going to push that performance to the next level. So I mean, even with me growing up, I used to lift a lot of weights. And then I figured out it's got to be a different way that I can still be just as strong, if not stronger, without tearing my muscles down. And
Mhm.
so that's when I started actually looking to more calisthenics and body weight training. And
Mhm.
I do a different static and dynamic type of training with a Shaolin disciple.
Mhm.
So just doing different things like that, I definitely think would help more men for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, with women as well, but I think with men, we're so programmed, like you said, to do certain things, and especially coming from like an overly masculine type of view, to where
Mhm.
we do have to have some type of balance and tap into some different realms.
Right. I feel like just not only that, but it's a necessity right now in our community to make sure that we have fully functional men walking throughout our community,
Fact.
being head of that household and actually living by that type of being proud of that in a sense. Because again, I feel like sometimes as men we can tend to diminish our own kingdom when it comes to what we're able to provide to not only our community or not only to our partners, our wives or our women, but we are able to shift the dynamics of culture. But we have to be able to know how to harness that in the best way possible. I'm
Right.
always someone who promotes love. I'm always someone who promotes my community, and I stand by those pillars. So when people see the actions and the practices that I partake in, it does something for them, you know. And I feel like that's the best practice when it comes to, in my field, personal training. Again, sometimes it has negative connotations only because I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the time that we're thinking of, I need help, I need to find help. Sometimes we look for it in the wrong places, or maybe sometimes people have ulterior motives. So we're not necessarily sure how we're able to connect with people. So for me, when someone's within my aura or someone's within my space, I want them to feel equal. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel empowered, in a sense. Like even as far as kicking off this year, I started a fitness challenge called the Year of Empowerment, and it's literally something that I wanted to implement in the community as far as being aware of how healthy you are within your mind, within your spirit, within your body. Also spearheading it, Miss Makita as well, when it comes to the meditation practices, things like that. She's done an amazing job when it came to our last event. We all went on to a Runyon Canyon hike. So here in California, Runyon Canyon is like it's if you ain't ready for it, it's gonna hit you. It's either gonna eat you up that day or the next morning. So, but but yeah, just basically um doing that track and that trail and just having just beautiful black people together, just really um embracing this journey. And then, as I said, her leading us into breathing and meditation. And then I did like a little stretch and yoga towards the end of the program, things like that. So it's just doing more like things that's going to help build good, positive habits. And I feel like me and you, Blair, we kind of have a little bit more of um, that needs to be a little bit more on a responsibility for both of us to be
I
able
agree.
to make these platforms. Because who's to say we can't be the ones to make the platforms? Um, in order for our women to then go ahead and be on those platforms to not only expand and evolve, but
Yep.
it's going to expand our community because they already tried to remove us from it, you know. So our generation now, we have to make sure that we catch up for lost time.
I'm with it, my brother. Let's do it. Say
Yeah.
less.
These ladies got me going crazy.
I mean, it's crazy that we've been having this conversation, and again, I just always talk about that higher power and the synchronicities and all the stuff that happens. But I was literally just talking with one of my best friends on Saturday about what we were trying to do to push the same message across and like how we were going to build that out. So again, always extending the community outreach, but Markiece definitely would love to have you in some of these talks, and we can
Absolutely.
do some stuff for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. I'm
Oh,
definitely down. I'm
cool.
down to educate. I feel like my purpose here is to be a healer and an educator. So that's
Facts.
all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, for me, I'm just here to help and inspire. So helping with
See,
me, it's been more so on the entrepreneurship side, the business side, and again with the health and wellness, and for of course the viewers, the 3 layers of wellness that's been a staple here on the show for a while. But we're doing some revamps with that. Got CMOS for the people coming up, so
mhm,
definitely stay tuned for all of that. Big stuff coming 2020.
absolutely.
And those granola
Absolutely.
bars.
Yeah, we keep pushing me to do the granola, so yeah, that might be coming to the site as well. So
Oh,
stay tuned.
I'll be down. Let me know when it's ready.
I bet.
yes. But yeah, for sure. Um,
I,
uh,
I was gonna say one question. Was there anybody in particular who you looked up to growing up, or um, maybe even a mentor, somebody who's close to you now that you kind of look to for inspiration or advice?
Yeah, I've had multiple mentors. I actually was um, grateful to have multiple mentors in my life um, that I believe I appointed as my mentors, just because I felt like I needed to make conscious decisions on who I choose to be in my circle. Um, but my late father was one of my first mentors, as far as teaching me the nuances of how to walk in your masculinity. Um, because growing up in LA, it's like you have to, in a sense, especially in the 90s, you have to kind of have a really good sense of who you are very quick, you know. And for me, I was very restricted on who I felt like I wanted to be or needed to be. And my father helped me kind of break out of that and just be able to express myself at the best of my ability. So I would say my father was one. Also, I've been a fan of, I'm a big fan of music. So I have a lot of people that I do admire from there. Like from my dad listened to a lot of Nigerian music and African or Afrobeat type music. So like Fela Kuti is like one of my idols. Bob Marley
Okay.
is one of mine. Um, as far as on like political aspects or like revolutionaries, obviously like Malcolm X, or I know him as Detroit Reds, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Me and him actually share the same birthday,
Oh wow.
so that's another thing. Um, so just think people like that, W.E.B. Du Bois, um, obviously like people who's and it's funny because I have a lot of family who's also in Oakland. Um, so like QEP Newton and people who started and created the Black Panther Party. I've had family members who was within that party, within that system. So it's just amazing that I was able to recognize these people fairly early in my life. I mean, even the things I watched on television, it was a lot of black love there. It was a lot of black empowerment there. I mean, Fresh Prince of Bel Airs and
Yeah,
your, you know, and Living Colors and things like that. So I was very fortunate to kind of just have that instilled with me at an early age.
What would you say has been one of your biggest, I guess, like the most pivotal mantra, or something that really just kind of you always come back to? Some belief that maybe shifted the paradigm for you?
Mm. Uh, so for me, I've been through different periods in my life where it shifted. You know, I've been in different periods where I felt like, again, I thought I knew everything about fitness, or I thought I knew everything about um, whatever it was. When I was in the military, they kind of like already provide you with housing, and they take care of certain things, so you don't necessarily have to have a responsibility on that front. And when I got out of the military, I had a rude awakening as far as like life is what kind of crashed down the hardest. So I just always had a voice inside of me that told me that stop suppressing who you are, and go through it, you know, because I felt like I needed to um, shift my train of thought, or shift, you know, how I felt or what I did in order to appease other people, or in order for me to survive, really. Because you can say the wrong things and someone can take your life, or you can be within the wrong place, the wrong place at the wrong time. So in a sense, I always told myself that I need to stop suppressing who I am and just go through things, because I know a lot of times, especially with hardships, we try to forget things, or we try to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm going to just, but also, I wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm getting so many different notifications. But also for certain people, I want them to know that that's how your spirit gets through it. You know, it's basically letting you go through every part of that emotion. So that way, then you'll have all of these different um, nuggets within that experience that you can take and be like, okay, now I understand. Now I feel exactly where I needed to be at this point in time. I remember I used to listen to like Nipsey Hussle interviews, and he said that on this road to his own individual success, he had to go through every emotion to get there,
Mm.
or he's experienced every emotion. And that's the kind of mindset that I want us to um, celebrate. You know, celebrate that internal sadness, in a sense of the sadness is going to be an indicator that there's process here. There's a process here. There's a rebuilding phase here. There's a you know, coming soon type of feel here. So for me, I just applaud that, because I feel like now it's like my body's in that reloading phase. And when I come out when I come out of that reloading phase, I come back stronger. I come back more confident. I come back with a new goal in mind. So I kind of just live by that. I always tell myself also too, I'm living with purpose. Nothing I say or do is without purpose. I know I touched on that on occasions. When I've spoken with Markiece from time to time, I would say, you know, everything that I say and I do, I make sure that it's within my purpose. Um, so that way, not only if it's whether it's a good or bad decision, as long as I'm within me and I felt like I was 100% with how I felt, I can live through the day like that. I can't live through the day feeling like every decision I made throughout this time was not mine, you know? So,
Yes.
I had that same kind of realization, so I can relate.
I,
I love that mindset. It seems like what you're talking about ultimately, as far as like being that authentic self, is self-love, like fully loving and recognizing yourself. You touched on that knowledge you have about your ancestors, and how just having that knowledge allows you to kind of evoke that energy. Um, if there was one thing that, based off of all that you know about health, healing, spirituality, if there was one practice that people could develop, that they should develop a habit out of, just one practice, what would you recommend that practice to be?
listening, just listening to your body, listening to what your heart and your mind say, you know? I would say patience with yourself, um, patience with the process. like our body is a living organism. So everything that we do and we say and we think is going to affect it in some form or fashion, you know. And also breathe. Um, Breathing is very important when it comes to not only fitness but mental health. I feel like that was also another topic in the Black community that we used to shy away from, especially back in the day in the 90s. It was just like mental health was something you just never brought up. So I just basically want people, especially like my new clients that I have, when I opened up my gym in Long Beach, I wanted it to be a holistic gym. I wanted it to be with people who had the mindset of developing every client mentally, spiritually, and physically. So whether it's I'm, you know, going to be on a Zoom call with you and we just talk about mindset, or whether we do a yoga class, or we go hiking, or it's just weightlifting or whatever it is. I wanted to kind of just have that mindfulness when it comes to making sure that people walk out with a new purpose or a new sense of who they are. Also, when it comes to how our muscles respond to the exercises, I'm also wanting people to be educated on that front as well. Because I also do a like a muscle release treatment with my clients after our exercises. So with my tension release treatment, um, it's something that not a lot of people really practice, or not a lot of people provide to their clients, because I don't know if they're just trying to monetize the time that they have and things of that nature. But every client that I'm associated with, I'm present with them, and I'm present with what their body needs or what their mind needs. Um, so when I see that, then that's something that I want them to kind of experience. But ultimately, that's the only three things I would say is just breathing, listen, and things of that nature, and just be patient. That's all it takes. Everything else, it's going to um, work its way out. The dominoes will fall where they need to be. But make sure that your mindset is basically on that, your breathing, and especially your patience, and just being able to listen, just take in information.
Awesome.
Love that advice.
Yeah. Well, we so appreciate you coming on the Parallel Paths podcast and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your light, everything that you do to inspire and uplift the community. Can you tell the people where they can find you, how they can connect with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you can go ahead and reach me on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Markiece, Markiece underscore EZE. I also have videos and things of that nature when it comes to at home workouts, at home yoga. I do provide either virtual online training, or you can go ahead and visit me at my Long Beach gym. It's a private gym. So you'll be free. You won't have to worry about COVID or anything like that. We keep everything very clean, very safe. And you can go ahead and schedule that time with me if you go ahead and just send me a message on my Instagram. Also, I have my ebook on my website. My website link is also on my Instagram. That ebook is called Discipline. I'm also going to be making a series of ebooks just based on different things that we need to do. I'm going to have an upcoming ebook based on movement. Um, and so I just want to make sure that everything that I put out, all the information that I put out, is going to not only enhance everyone's holistic views, but we have to definitely switch the landscape of how things are. 2021 is not only just going to be the year of empowering people, but it needs to be the year of creating discipline, creating healthy habits and new habits. But yeah, ultimately, just go ahead and reach out at my Instagram, which is, again, my name is Markiece, last name Eze, Eze, so Markiece underscore Eze. And yeah, shoot me a message anytime.
Awesome. And we'll definitely put the link to the ebook in our show notes, as well as a link to Marquice's page so you all can connect with him. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, King, we appreciate you and we appreciate the time. Definitely was great having you on the show. And season 3, welcome back.
Yes.
I appreciate both of y'all. Thank you so much for helping pushing the culture forward. I admire everything that you all are doing. Yeah, so I definitely appreciate the time.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, listeners, until next time, make sure you comment, like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Sending you all peace and love.
Peace, peace.
Hey, Parallel Podcast listeners. If you're looking to learn more about building a strong mindset and deepening your meditation practice, join Makita every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time live on Instagram for Makita's meditation and mindset tips. You can also schedule a free one-on-one consult by visiting the link in her bio at Makita Smiles. And for all things health and wellness, check out Blair's site, 3layerswellness.com, for products, services, and resources. And if you're looking to establish or enhance your business online presence, don't forget to check out bonafidefla.com. That's bonafidefla.com for assistance with websites, logos, graphic designs, and more. You can find all this information in our show notes as well.